up, y'all? Naturegirl 30 here, and guys, I am back with another review of Girl Meets World. It feels good to see that show again. I absolutely enjoy that show. And this episode, Girl Meets High School Part 1. They actually separated it into two parts, and honestly, I am really interested in where the season's going to go. Now, I love the way it started out. Of course, you leave middle school, you think everything's going to be the same, but everything changes. And of course, they encounter bullies. Three senior bullies. Everybody there is huge, which is pretty much how it is this day and age. Everyone looks like grown men and women when they're actually in their teens. But they encounter a lot of obstacles and a lot of animosity between each other, especially the fact that Lucas and Riley had their first fight ever. Now, when it came to this episode, I wasn't particularly sure where something already stood. It seemed like that, I don't know, Lucas and Riley were semi-official but not completely official, and how Maya was kind of left out of the triangle. But they didn't really put so much focus on the love triangle, which makes me kind of happy. They did have a mention of it, but the best part about this is they actually did involve Zay and Smackle in this. And honestly, we haven't really seen Smackle in a long time, not since Girl Meets New Year. It's nice that she actually just started school, and it's nice she's actually starting to develop and understand emotions a little bit. But it also seems like that both Smackle and Farkle are going to come up with their own, they're going to probably have their own obstacles later on down the line. But it actually makes you, for those who are going through high school now, it does make you feel like you're in high school and this is what you had to go through with adjusting, leaving middle school and going to high school, thinking that everything's going to be the same. But it's not. And Riley, of course, always sees the good in people, but now it comes off as a bit naive. She's literally staying in a hole to try to learn a lesson when it's not about the lesson that people are teaching you. It's about literally being a bit more realistic. Riley has lived in a dream world of unicorns and rainbows for a very long time, but now it's going to be to the point where she's going to have to start looking at life a little bit different. Maya has been a bit quiet throughout this episode, but honestly, she is trying to keep it all together herself. And she's trying to do it the best way possible. And as for Lucas, Lucas is struggling with not being able to protect the girls and knowing that he doesn't exactly know this territory and he can't even protect himself. But the biggest rift between the both of them was when Riley was like, "You're going to get killed out there." And here's the interesting thing. She said that you're going to get killed out there being a football player, but she was all for him riding the bull. I guess things change. I don't know. The fact that they've never seen a bull before, and then also the fact that they actually did have him, that she thought he was going to be all right riding a bull at Girl Meets Texas, kind of shows how she is outside of where she's at. And maybe Lucas kind of sees the real her. I don't know where it's going to go from here. In my opinion, they're still kind of geared on up to them actually hooking up, but I really am hoping for Maya. But I really do feel like this is not just an episode where one individual grows the most. This is an episode where all of them start to grow and all of them are seeing differences and changes. And that's what I enjoy about this. They're all going through the struggles of high school. Well, Farkle and Smackle haven't really went through much yet because, I mean, of course, they're not jocks, so they kind of avoid the whole thing. But in a way, Farkle is dealing with the fact that his friends are splitting apart and he wants to find, pretty much the catalyst of what started it all. So, yeah, he does blame Riley. And then Maya still stands by Riley even though she doesn't agree with what Riley does. But it seems like they're all trying to change and figure out high school as a whole, and they don't really know exactly what to do next. And I enjoy this episode because that is what every kid goes through being in high school. Nothing is simple. Nothing is plain. Nothing is in plain text. You got to eventually you're going to figure it out and figure out exactly, what to do while you're there. So I really did enjoy this episode. It wasn't as they didn't try to hide anything, and also I love the fact that it was the intro to the entire series. Now the intro to season 3 was kind of a throwback to Boy Meets World. I like it. I really did. It was a throwback to Boy Meets World, probably in around the high school season 3, season 4, I think. I could be wrong. But other than that, it was a throwback to that. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great, seeing that throwback to the show. But what makes me even happier about this episode is that they didn't really sugarcoat anything, especially what was going on with Ava. They had two plots that was going on. Not only with the kids going to high school, making the transition to high school, and also with Corey. Corey's trying to figure out how to teach his class because in middle school he teached the way he wanted to, but then he went to high school and now he has to actually use legitimate facts and not be as open as his class. So now he's making adjustments. But the biggest plot of the entire episode, the biggest change of the episode was Ava, and they were going through divorce. Not necessarily saying a divorce, but going through a time when your folks are fighting, and hearing the fact that her parents are fighting and she had to leave the apartment to go next door because it was too much for her broke my heart. And honestly, I'm like, I really hope that they actually have the parents a little bit more involved with Ava, and especially in this series, because it makes me sad that you rarely see her mom. But when we did see her mom, we saw like her pretty much having all airs, but I wouldn't be surprised there were problems even then. But it was heartbreaking. The fact that Ava had to have the talk with an entirely new family instead of talking to her family was sad, but it was a good episode to touch on because not a lot of people like to touch on divorce, especially the fact that parents are fighting, and since it's Disney, you wouldn't think they would go that far. But they did, because the series itself went that far. They talked about sex. They talked about divorce. They talked about drugs. They talked about a lot of things in Boy Meets World, which made me love the show more because of how much it just didn't hold back. But this episode with Ava, the episode that happened with Ava was just as touching. It really was. Because when Maya overheard what Ava was going through after Ava's dad left, was just heartbreaking for me. And she realized, you know what, you're going to blame yourself. You're not going to believe that you didn't do anything wrong, even though you didn't do anything wrong. And she had to comfort Riley because Riley really felt like that she did something wrong. And she was only being herself. And the ending was pretty heartbreaking, but honestly, I think that it ended very well. It didn't end on a good Peachy King after school special kind of note. It actually ended on a very realistic note. A lot of kids go through this in the first day of school. They feel like that things change. Your friends end up breaking apart. Friendships end. And honestly, this is only the beginning. And I like the way it ended because it's only the beginning. It's only part one. Part two might be different. Part two might be a bit hopeful, or at least a little bit more open-minded. So I love this episode. I think it did a really great job putting together how it really feels going through high school. And they had a very realistic view about the entire episode. But guys, that's my opinion. What is yours? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Did you like this episode? Did you think that it was too sugar-coated? Did you think it was realistic or way too gritty? I want to know what y'all's thoughts are because I enjoyed this. I really did. And this actually opened the summer. I thought it was going to be in the fall, but it's great to see it back in the summer. I'm wondering what season 3 is going to hold. And I'm happy they didn't put too much focus on the love triangle, but they probably will later on down the line. But guys, I want to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment in the comment section below about tonight's episode and let me know how you feel. It's Naturegirl 30 signing off. Peace out, y'all. Later.